Hi, I was asked to give a little explanation for the RULA um, document. So, sorry, I'm sick, so it's a little bit foggy. But one thing I would just like to show is so whatever number you put in here is what you're looking on the chart. Whatever number you have here then is a sub number. So if this is number 1 and this is number 3, then it would be in this column here. I'm not going to do the whole thing for you. I thought it might be a little bit fun. Well, I mean, by fun, I mean fun for me, probably not for anyone else. But I'll talk about Donkey Kong. So he's picking up these drums and then he's throwing them down. So we'll just pretend to do one real quick for Donkey Kong, and then we'll go from there. So one thing I would do is new the snipping tool. So and then file, save as, just gonna go RULA. So I saved it. The I would do it in Paint. I think when I did this assignment, I did it in Paint, but open, and then if you don't have Paint, like Apple is a similar product, right? So with this, then we can start. So when we look at Donkey Kong, I think he lifts the barrel over his head to throw it. So I'm going to pretend it's number 4. So I'll just put a 4 in there. And then if we take a look, his arm looks to be lowered. And I did the same thing. I did a snipping tool. So with a YouTube video that we provide you guys, you can just take a snip of it, and then that's what you're talking about. It's a lot easier to measure the angles if you freeze the video and then just do that. So I'm going to pretend, so with this, so 2, and then if we take a look, so upper arm is 4, this is here is 2. So then we can put a shape in the box. So 4 and 2. Be this column here. And then the risk score, well, we can't see, but if we imagine throwing a barrel, I'm going to guess that his risk score is possibly 3. So if is it aligned in the middle, we're going to say, I think this would be like a 1. Okay, so we can't see from Donkey Kong what he's doing here. Not enough pixels in the early 80s for that, but we can guess it's a 1. So then we have table column 3, number 1. So it would be in this column here. So we can put it there. So our number then would be 4. And then the reason why I'm doing this is it looks neater than if I wrote it on a sheet. My handwriting's terrible. If the posture maintains static for less than 10 minutes, or occurs 4 times a minute. If anyone here has played Donkey Kong, it's a lot more than 4 times a minute. Those barrels have to weigh a lot more than 4.4 pounds. I'm going to guess that they're more than that. So let's go 3. And then if we look in table C, what do we have here? So sorry. So the risk plus the arm score. So yeah, so that equals that. So what do we have here? So we can do some basic math. Oh, is that 8? And then take a look, going around the neck and trunk analysis. And yes, I do know Donkey Kong is not a human, so kind of keeps his head straight. So I'm gonna say 1. And then, does he bend his head? He's bent his whole body, eh? So but he does keep his head straight. So I'm going to say 1. You could argue with me. I'm not going to disagree with people. So when we take a look, his feet were supported. We take a look at this. Feet are, oh, 1 is not really supported, right? It's kind of bent a little bit. Again, we could probably argue about that. And that out of the whole class here, a lot of your scores are going to be similar, but they're going to vary a little bit. So again, we look at the peach. So peach number 1. So I'll just put this in here. And then leg score is 1 and then 2, right? So the gray is 1, 2, legs is 2. So we put it in here. So what's the value is 3. So that was table B. Sorry, I haven't done this in a while. If the posture is statically maintained, held for 4 minutes, or if the action is repeated a lot, add 1. Oops. I'll cooperate on BJ. I'll blame the COVID, which I have right now. If somebody watches this in the future. And then we take a look. What do we have here? So again, it's a static, it's repeated load. So I said 3. So we add 3, 1, 3. 7. Trunk score, finding column C. So maybe I did do that right. 7. So then we have our score of 8 on the chart for the wrists and arms. And then we have 7 for the blue. So then this value would be, let's see on the chart, 7. So Donkey Kong should not be doing what he's doing. You should do something else. Hi. As a part 2, I'll put on is just how to do an appendix. So appendix can go like right at the end of the document along with the references, and there's a separate referencing video. So because we borrowed somebody else's form, we should note that we took it from them, right? So that's referencing. So the website, and also like on the bottom of the RULA document, it says like who made it. So there's a hint for how to reference that. Another thing is I really don't like it when there's multiple attachments. So like I have to back out and then mark back in and forth. So that goes back to like reports and industry would be generally one document from my experience. So you'd want to have it all together. So when somebody's reading it, they're not flipping back and forth or like multiple documents. Plus, think about it from a safety standpoint, some of the stuff you might have to keep for 4 or 5 years as a record of proof of due diligence. So if you have multiple sheets and it's all over the place, kind of, it's easier to lose, especially with digital versions and it's getting moved around, especially systems go from one type of computer program to another. It's easier if it's all together, right? So that's another thing about me. I really like it if the papers are on PDFs. I think there's one instructor who doesn't like that, but generally I find the formatting stays the same. And that's a free tip for resumes as well, is that you submit a resume to a company and then the formatting's all wacky. It won't do that if you submit it as a PDF, but if you submit it as a Word document and they're using Mac, or you submit a Mac file, like, or there's, and whatever, there's a million different combinations. So I'll get into the appendix thing. So the appendix, so I'm just going to go insert, and this might be really straightforward, but so I'm just going to insert the RULA file. And so I'm going to just resize this so it's a little bit easier to see for the reader. And so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail to like formatting margins and stuff like that. You can do that. You can format the margin on just one page, so this will be bigger, but we don't need to do that for this course. And so that's your figure 1, and then insert. And how I can do that is I saved it as a JPEG file from the snip, and then also I modified it using Paint and saved it as a JPEG file again, right? So, and then what I talked about as well was in this report, I did talk about Donkey Kong a fair amount. So you imagine we could do insert. So again, we'll make it the same size. You can go into the picture and modify it as well. So you could have these pictures in the text. So at each section where you're talking about the armrest, you could talk about this and have the photo in there, or you could have the photo at the end. It's kind of up to you. It's easier for the reader if you indicate what you're doing. You can insert the lines. You actually could measure the angles as well of the geometry. Like, it depends how far you want to go. Obviously, I did the RULA in not very long. I'll admit this is probably the third time I've edited this video, so it took me a little bit longer than the 7 minutes of the video. And then the write-up and explaining is obviously going to be a lot longer, which I didn't do in this case. So don't just hand in the ruler and say, like, Hancock, why didn't I get 100%? Because you really do need to explain your reasoning. I did that verbally. For some of the sections, you're probably not going to write very much. Like, you are just going to say it was within this angle, and that's that. So it's kind of a straightforward assignment.